Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and I've been spending the week with this very cool looking 2023 Ford F-150. This is what they call the Heritage Edition, so it's an XLT trim, one up from the bottom, but it still costs $70,000. And that is a lot, but I've done a lot of research on the full-size truck market right now, and it turns out all full-size trucks cost a lot, and it's kind of gross to me. I am someone who would probably get a mid-size truck over something like this, especially with the short box. But I gotta admit, driving this F-150 around has been really, really nice. I realized driving it that I actually haven't driven a normal style F-150 like this. I've driven the Raptor of this generation, and I think I drove a Tremor in this generation as well, but this normal just XLT trim actually drives remarkably well. It's really quiet, it's nice to be in. So what better way to show you how good a full-size truck like this is to use than to go pick up furniture with it, because that's what people do with these trucks, right? They don't actually go off-roading or put 1,000 pounds of payload in the bed. They get furniture, and I think that's going to be the best way to show this off. Although you can see I've gotten it decently dirty. I've taken it mountain biking, done some off-road shooting with it. In fact, we got a lot of videos. We're doing fuel economy testing, sound system review. I'll put the links to all those in the description. But without any further ado, let's head to it. I've got about a 20-minute drive to go meet somebody off Facebook Marketplace and pick up a chair that we're going to put in the back of the bed. You can see we've got a cloth interior, and I kind of like the cloth. In fact, Alyssa and I have both separately noticed that these are some of the most comfortable seats we've had in a press vehicle in a really long time. Oh, look at a little American flag. That's fun. Which is a stark contrast to the new GM seats in a lot of their trucks. In the Silverado and the Colorado that I've been in recently, they've really taken a lot of foam out of their seats, and they're not very comfortable. So it's been nice that this is a pretty comfortable place to be. So again, hopping in this XLT trim, the Heritage package adds some money, but we've also got a few options. We've got the 3.5 liter engine, 3.5 liter EcoBoost, and this has been bothering me. Wireless connection failed. Wireless connection with your phone failed. Please connect phone via USB to use Android Auto. This is the second time this has happened, and I don't know why, but I need Android Auto to be up in order to see where I'm going. So I'm gonna just fully unpair my device. This hasn't happened at all this whole week I've had it. Charlie's Sync, it says it's connected, so I don't understand why it's not working. We go phone list, Charlie S23 Ultra. I don't know what is going on with this, but it's really frustrating me. And I gotta say, out of all of the full-size truck manufacturers, Ford has the least advanced infotainment, the most frustrating infotainment. Whether it's their very large screen, look at that, it's failed again. So here I am, I'm late now because this isn't working, and I gotta see if I even have a USB-C cable on me. And I don't think I do. So you're actually not gonna get Android Auto. I'm gonna have to run it on my phone like a peasant. All right. Yeah, the new GM infotainment absolutely blows Sync out of the water. And Toyota's new infotainment is quite good as well on the Tundra. And Uconnect in the Rams has always been solid. So big disappointment not having better infotainment here. Kind of one of these real world examples. But at least it's a decent sized screen. It's built nicely into the dash. I gotta make up some time now, which fortunately is pretty easy to do with this 3.5 liter V6. Twin turbocharged, of course. Plenty of power. And they've really tuned the throttle to be, dare I say, jumpy. It's a very aggressive throttle tuning. I'm kind of surprised that they did that, because I can't imagine it's a good thing for fuel economy that it's blasting off so much. But what it does do is it makes the truck feel very light on its feet and peppy. And I know if someone were test driving this, they'd go, "Oh, it's got a lot of get up and go. It's a real quick truck." But it really is. It is a powerful engine, and they've been making this 3.5 liter EcoBoost for a while, so I'm sure it will be pretty reliable. However, I have heard anecdotally that the transmissions on this newest generation F-150 have not been lasting very well, so keep an eye out for that. You can hear I'm running the AC pretty hard, and I don't have any sort of cooled seat option here in this XLT package. We do have heated seats. Do we have a heated steering wheel? I don't believe so. So just heated seats. This cloth is so I'm a little bit toasty in here. We do have this huge panoramic sunroof, which I've had closed most of the week because why do I want the heat blasting in from the sun? But I suppose in the colder weather or when it's evening out, it's kind of cool to be able to open that up. It is nice having a bunch of physical controls down here for radio and tuning controls. The HVAC all has physical controls, dual zone climate as well, so your passenger can set a higher or lower temperature than the driver if he or she prefers. Nice leather steering wheel. I'm glad they didn't stock some type of rubber on this one. Went away from the stoplight. Listen to how quiet and refined this engine is. I mean, you barely hear the thing running. Top of the engine being refined, it's quiet in here in general. We've actually got dual pane glass, which I'm kind of surprised for an XLT trim. They put dual pane glass in there, but it does all add up to be a very quiet driving experience. Couple that onto the peppy engine and pretty light steering as well, and what you get is a truck that is actually pretty darn easy to drive. I mean, this thing is large and it's capable, but pretty easy to drive as well. And I don't mind having to go through and do sort of more high traffic, tense driving, city type situations in this because it doesn't feel cumbersome to drive. Now, some people are going to be looking for a little bit more of a trucky sort of experience in their 1500 truck, so you might want to look somewhere else for that. The GMs have a little bit more of a large truck sort of feel to them, but this F-150 feels very drivable. And what do you know, we're coming into traffic. That's just what happens when you go out and do things in the afternoon here in Southern California. You're gonna encounter traffic. Fortunately, we've got these trailer type mirrors that have two different sets of glass in them. So we've got the kind of large blind spot glass and then the normal large glass up front. On top of that, we've got blind spot monitoring. So as I try to make a merge over here, I can see what's in my blind spot, and if there's any cars in the way, that definitely helps driving a larger vehicle like this. And I know from experience that we have trailer blind spot monitoring, so if I had a trailer hooked up to the truck, then I would be able to, the blind spot monitor would actually account for how long the trailer is and not tell me I'm clear until it knows that it's past the whole trailer length. In fact, if I did a lot of trailer towing, the F-150 would be right up at the top of my list of full-size trucks because of this little control right here. This is the Pro Trailer Backup Assist, and I did a demo with it in the Lincoln Navigator. It takes a little bit of setup process, but once you do set it up, it makes backing up a trailer so easy. It's crazy how nice it is to have there. It's one of the least talked about, but I think most useful sort of gimmicks in a truck, in the new truck market. I would so much rather have that than anything like self-driving in a car like this. Another reason that I would be keen to pick an F-150 over any of the other full-size trucks, and this doesn't exactly apply to this specific model we're driving, but I went through all the build configurators of all the full-size trucks right now, even the Titan, even though that's being discontinued, and I looked for a very specific configuration, and it's what I would get if I were buying a new truck. It is an extended cab, so 4 doors, but the not full crew cab setup, extended cab, and a V8, and an 8-foot bed. And there is only one truck manufacturer that you can get that from, and it's Ford. In fact, you cannot even get a 1500 with an 8-foot bed and 4 doors from anyone outside of Toyota and Ford. So you can get a new Tacoma, or not Tacoma, you can get a new Tundra with an 8-foot bed and the extended cab, or you can get an F-150. But GM's only giving you the 6.5-foot bed with 4 doors, and then same with Ram. And for me, I don't need those acres of space back there in this crew cab configuration. I would rather have a little bit shorter, more maneuverable truck and extend that length into my bed. So I'd rather have the 8-foot bed and only the extended cab. Now, I can see how someone with kids regularly, or maybe full-size adults riding back there, would want this full crew cab setup, especially if you're doing a lot of road trips or something. But for me, extended cab's the way to go, and I would get the 6-seater setup. You can still do that with trucks. You can get a 6-seat right here, right in the middle. It's a flip-up console, and then you get a column shifter instead of this big shifter taking up space right in the middle. I do not understand why Ford has this here, because first thing, it takes up a bunch of usable space. I could have a big center console area where I could put gloves or a hat or work-related things or my phone right here. Instead, there's a big shifter taking it up. And then they've got this center console that'll flip out and you can use as a workspace, but they had to engineer this janky fold-down system, as Brower likes to put it, folding the shifter down into the console, instead of just having a column shifter or something on the dash for me to shift with. So very frustrating that with this setup you got this shifter here. Just give us the column, Ford. If it's good enough for Mercedes and Tesla, don't you think it'd be good enough for you? Even though we don't have Ford's Blue Cruise self-driving, we do still have a pretty robust lane keeping system. So as you can see here, we've got the cruise set. Let's actually jump it up to 65 miles per hour. And it's adaptive, it's adjusting to that Mazda in front of us, and it's actually steering us as well. So technically you're supposed to have your hands on the wheel, but I'm just kind of showing you right now that the truck is steering itself, and then it will start to yell at me because I don't have my hands on the wheel. I'm going to keep a hand on it, and the truck will take care of driving itself. That definitely helps in these sort of busy highway traffic sort of situations. I do appreciate that we still have a traditional gauge layout there. Now, I know it's not exactly necessary. Most people aren't checking the tachometer, but actually I take that back. I think if you're doing any sort of towing or hard driving, you do like being able to have an analog tach there to see what your engine's up to. And I prefer the conventional look of those two sweeping gauges compared to something that's all digital. We just had a lot of the full-size GM trucks, and I prefer the look of this gauge cluster. And the center information screen still does give you a lot. I've got engine temp, trans temp, oil temp, fuel remaining. I got a temperature outside, and I've got a lot of information I can cycle through there in the middle. Right now I've just got it up for fuel economy. So they've really compacted a lot of useful information into one little area there. They also did a great job with the ride in this truck. For being a body-on-frame full-size truck like this has got to be one of the best riding trucks in the segment. I've done rough pavement, I've done dirt roads, I've done highway situations like this. The damping seems to be just right, the bump absorption, it really is good. Now, I'd love to be showing you this, but if I had the navigation going on Android Auto coming up in the center there, then it would actually give us directions up here in the center gauge cluster as well, so I can keep my eyes on the road and still see what my next turn is. It's pretty well done. It's nice to see the integration with the smartphone apps. Oh, we've got adjustable pedals. I did not realize that. How many new trucks are you getting with adjustable pedals? That's nice. So we've got a tilt telescoping steering wheel here, although it is manual, and then power adjustable pedals. Cool. If you're spending 70 grand on a truck, then you absolutely have to have a big 360 camera like this, and the one in the F-150 is fantastic, because you can see we still got beepers around. Bring that back up with the physical button, and I can see that I am at least within the lines. Very nice to be able to see that when you're coming in and out of tight spots like this. Wireless CarPlay did start working for us after a full shutdown and restart, so that's good at least. But let's hop out and get this chair out of here and talk a little bit about how this all comes together. The full-size truck market is really interesting to me because all the brands are trying to do their different ways of differentiating and being unique, giving you a reason to buy their truck over everyone else's. One of the big things with Ford was always having what we jokingly call the old man step, but what, not joking, is actually a really useful tool for getting in and out of these beds, because, I mean, I'm a 5'10" person, and this truck bed is going up to my hip. So it's not easy to step up in and out of. I pretty much have to either jump or kind of crawl my way up. And even at $70,000, this one is coming without the assist step, which is kind of a jank feature to begin with. And it's frustrating because some of the other manufacturers give you a little side step right here that either pops out and down or is integrated right into the bumper. I really like the integrated into the bumper one, because right here I'd be able to grab this with my hand, put my foot in, and then hop up into the truck. But instead, I have to kind of bring my leg way up and climb up in. And there have been situations, depending on where the truck is parked, where that really isn't useful. But you can see we've got 2 tow hooks up front. Is that it? Only the 2 tie-down points? That's interesting. Looks like some sort of cleat apparatus there for something. And then 2 cleats in the back, so only 4. That's kind of surprising. I would have figured we would have had 4 up front. Here we are the next day after collecting our furniture, and I've had time to do the highway fuel economy test here in the F-150, evaluated the sound system, spent more quality time with the truck, and I gotta say, I like it. They did a lot well, and there's a lot that they did well on paper, but there's also a lot they did well off paper that is only perceptible by driving the truck, by spending time in it. Oh, hopefully this officer of the law here doesn't mind a GoPro being on my forehead. Okay, he's not gonna see. Outside of the jumpy throttle, this thing is so nice and easy to drive. It rides really well. It's got good power. Aside from that one hiccup I had with the Android Auto not connecting wirelessly yesterday, Sync 4 works fine. I don't love it, but it does the job. It essentially brings up my Android Auto, which is what I need, and then the rest of it, it's just there. I like having all the physical controls as opposed to what you'd get with the larger screen. There are the few little quirks, like the shifter and the infotainment, but all in, it's a compelling product, and you can totally see why these things continue to sell so well year in and year out. Now, for me, the price is a little TGH, if any of you are Flossie Carter fans, but it's high. It really is. $70,000 is too much for this truck in my eyes. And I get you're getting the big boy motor and kind of really a lot of the features, but I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I just wish it didn't cost so much, but hey, all of them cost a lot, so it's kind of like you got to pay to play. You could kind of cherry pick a few options and get down a little bit cheaper, but as much as I hate to say it, if you're buying a full-size truck here in 2023, you're looking at a lot of money. But again, listen how quiet this is at 55 miles per hour. That's a perfect example of something you're not going to read on a spec sheet, but if you actually go and drive the truck and experience it, you're like, oh wow, they built this to be really quiet. I appreciate that. Interestingly, this one has the auto stop start deleted. I don't know if that's a chip shortage thing or if that's actually an option that somebody chose on this truck, but you don't have the stop start functionality where you come to a stop and the engine shuts off. I gotta say, if I owned one, I would probably want that to be disabled for the longevity of my motor and starter. So I think it's cool that Ford's doing these heritage models. I think a lot of them look really good, especially the Broncos. This F-150 is no different. It looks sharp, drives well. It's kind of got that cachet, that cool factor. Aside from the price and a few of those little nitpicks, I don't have much bad to say about this F-150. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the F-150 Heritage here, check the link in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, nostalgia on.